Oh, my friends Cabo. Oh,
Cabo.
okay.
Cabo
Yeah.
Nation.
Cabo Nation.
All right.
I'm out of coffee, and that makes me upset.
Oh.
And hello, everybody, and welcome to the special Sunday edition of the Social Media Hangout.
You're special.
Hey. Oh, thank you so much.
There's his witty remark.
And the show is over.
And yes, we're going.
Oh,
Now, today we are joined by Shannon, Hernandez, and Matthew Rappaport, as well as... What's up, Chris?
Social media.
Yes. So, happy Sunday, everybody. How y'all doing?
Great. I think Chris is muted, though.
Oh, is he? I don't think he is. Maybe he's just not talking.
No, Chris is muted.
There he is.
Chris,
Oh.
unmute thyself.
Sorry.
All right.
Okay, Google, unmute Chris.
I get
So-
clicking on the keyboard. It's annoying.
So, yeah, and it's okay. I mean, you know.
So I hear there's a lot of social media stuff that goes on and happens in the everyday thing.
In this show particularly.
In this show particularly.
Yeah.
Water!
No particular. Hey, Gary and Chandler, happy Sunday.
Product placement.
Yes.
Mhm.
So, speaking
How's
of...
LA today, Gary? Oh, product placement. Look at that product placement.
Well, he had a smart one. I went to Cold Spring to get a piece of them.
All right, we got to call them afterwards, you know, just to find out if they want to sponsor the show now. So we got a couple things to talk about today, and let's get started with the Google News Publishing Center. That's actually been kind of a long one in coming. For those of you who don't know, getting into Google News has been a pretty hard thing in the past. You had to go through an application process, and then if you ever wanted to update your information, it was really darn difficult. So now they have the new Publishing Center. Chris, do you have any information on that?
Well, I do. I can actually throw up a link there, and everybody can take a look. But yeah, like you said, it's just a new way to communicate with the with Google News. Here, I'll see if I can throw up the link. It says you can use this new tool to keep your site name and selection URLs up to date. View or change source labels for your publication and label sections of your site with specific topics. Throw up that link. So obviously, it's just a better way to communicate with Google and a better way to organize your information.
I think one of the most important things about it is that you actually have the ability to see if your site's been verified or not. That's always been kind of a nebulous thing, is understanding whether your site was even in Google News. I tried playing around with it a little bit, and it's very difficult to change the classification of your site in Google News. That's the one buggy thing that I found out about so far. But the cool thing I found that I've seen about it is that I didn't think that blogs actually could be included in Google News. And now, obviously, they've opened up that as a classification. So that's a pretty cool thing.
The thing I know about Google News is, from one of my time at HuffPost, is that they would actually, that you can see Google Plus posts on the side for certain stories that they would use algorithmically to put in there based on what the top story was, and that was how I knew of the using Google News in that way. And they would show not just news sites, but they'd show regular people that posted on Google Plus. I don't know if this is even related to that. This is probably just getting your content on news.google.com, right?
Well, I would imagine it's probably because, like, I would imagine maybe, I don't know, you guys probably know more about it than I do, but I would just think that, you know, like, every time Google comes out with maybe an update, or, you know, or any industry really, and maybe there's some type of hack that can be considered news.
I don't know. Well, when you go in through to verify your site and to get set up with the Google News, they give you some criteria that you can go through. Like I think on your About page or something, somewhere in there you've got to outline the contributors to the news. They suggest that you have the Google News sitemap. You know, if you follow that link that I put in, it'll give you some brief criteria to run through. And I think, do you remember, it's a certain number of days. So I think it's only every 60 days you're allowed to submit your site. If it doesn't meet the criteria the first time, then you have to wait another 60 days. And of course, when you go on to check, I think it says right on there, has it been 60 days, since you tried last time? And then from there, so do it right, I guess. Takes less time to do it right the first time than it does to come back and do it again.
And it is a total manual review process as well, so it's not something that people can scam or spam very easily.
I remember trying to do this for the radio station, but I never went through to do it because, of course, that's, I'd have to go through different channels, but I remember having to go through this this whole thing, and I was like, well, just like you said, Chris, there are different, I guess there are certain rules that apply to becoming a news publisher, and I'm not sure that certain websites, especially like my radio station, might have qualified for that. So I know that once you submit, and if it doesn't make it through, you'd have to wait. So that's always interesting to take note of if you're planning on becoming a publisher.
Right. Well, the options are you can have op-ed, opinion pieces, you can have blog pieces, you can have news pieces, you could say that you're just a source of press releases.
But there are many sites that are all of that, right?
Correct. And you can actually have a different news site map for each one of those sections.
Oh, wow. Okay.
Yeah, see, that's the big clincher now.
Right. So
anyway,
if you have
definitely worth a look, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, as a publisher, pretty much in general, whether you're a business or just a personal brand, I mean, if you've got a blog, submit it to Google News. I mean, the exposure that's in there is great, and if you've got timely information going out on a pretty regular basis, why not take advantage of it? And with the new publishing center, it just gives you that much more capability and control over it. So, hey, cool news.
Do you guys think that this is going to help news sites and people in the algorithm for search? Is that what you're thinking, or not related?
Yes.
The answer is yes.
Having owned a lot of news publication websites myself over the years in the hosting and the video game industry, I can tell you that when you get included into Google News, because it's a manual review process, traffic doubles, sometimes triples, especially if you keep going and keep your news updated.
I know Google doesn't like to do that, but if I was Google, I'd be like, hey, one of the incentives for making sure you're using this product is more traffic.
Well, that's just it. They use it for you to spoon feed them the information. That's what they're into, is they want current, relevant information, and that's what we consider news to be. So if you can, if Google can set it up so it's easier for you to communicate your news with them on a timely basis, certainly a win for Google too.
I thought Google just crawls all the websites and takes the news that's relevant, no?
Probably not as quickly as they would the news sites. They probably take those pretty quickly, like within minutes.
So this actually will segue into something else, something in a minute here. But first of all, I want to give a shout out to Eileen Smith. She says, "Hi everyone." So hey, back right at you. So speaking of search and incentive, so now the news this week was John Mueller came out and said that, well, hey, HTTPS is now out of the closet. We've kind of known that a secure website does get a little bit of a bump in search ranking, but now it's official. So Mueller's come out and stated that it's basically affecting about 1% of search queries. High quality content still gets the major bump, but now if you have a secure website, it can actually help you a little bit when it comes to getting better visibility in search. What does everybody think about that?
That's what I think about it.
Beyond the fact that companies that resell and sell SSL certificates are jumping up and down going yippee right now.
Well, I think it comes back to the legitimizing of everything. Google tries to legitimize their links. They're trying to legitimize, websites, and I think that's a step towards that, for Google. Like you said, we've kind of known about this for years, or kind of, known it was coming out. Nobody announced it yet, but it comes back to the, when you see the bigger websites like Twitter and such, when you see those ones start going to the secure, then that's kind of a sign that, you should be expecting that to be really important in the next little while.
feel like they've been using the HTTPS for years, maybe, possibly, because I feel like Google Plus has been using it almost since the beginning, right?
Well, yeah, and then they switched over to full HTTPS for Google proper. I think it was last year, and they started really making waves and announcements about, you know, hey, it's a good idea if your entire website's secured, even though you're not an e-commerce company.
Remember
Pinterest, too, right?
Pinterest did it last year too. Pinterest did it just recently.
Yeah.
I don't know if it was a year ago that they did it. Again, like I said, when you see these websites making the change themselves, they know stuff that we don't know, obviously. But they're going to give us little signs, and it's a good idea to watch for those.
The interesting thing about it, I mean, is HTTPS, a secure site is great. I mean, it protects user data, number one. You know, it does strip out some refer information, that's for sure, number two. You know, but from the overall user experience, it's really great for users. I mean, their information's more secure, the data that's going back and forth is more secure with the transport layer. But what I think is interesting is that, you know, Google has basically come out and saying that yes, you're going to get an organic bump in search if your entire site is secure.
That's interesting.
And most people,
I would go and ask the question for those who are listening or watching, and you don't have to get too technical or in detail, but how would a website go about doing something like that? Would they look for a plugin? Would they have to go into Webmaster Tools? What would they have to do?
So when it comes to that, it's actually a really simple process. Installing an SSL certificate just costs money. So if you're with a hosting company, whether it be somebody like GoDaddy or Bluehost or HostMonster, whoever it is, they all offer SSL certificates. There's a couple different flavors. There's EV certs, there's global certs, there's multi-domain certs. Just go ahead and basically, if you're just a blog owner, you know, pick the cheapest one, which is, you know, usually around $20, and just put in a ticket to your host and say, hey, I want a SSL cert. Once you get the SSL cert, then you can go into Webmaster Tools. You can switch it over and say, I want everything to be HTTPS. And then you can go through the task of doing a 301 redirect from all of your basically unsecure content to now your secure content. Only caveat to that is make sure that your CSS style sheets also are under the HTTPS URL. Most people don't do that, and that's when you get
One more time, Ben. Make sure that your one more time. Seriously, if you get nothing else from this segment, write that down.
last one.
Plus one.
I was going to say most people don't even, nowadays, most people aren't even typing HTTP or HTTPS. They're not even noticing it. I think most people are just like, they go to their bookmarks or they type, there you go, +1, bam.
Yeah.
So, and I think a lot of people are like, what is that S and why is it there? I think that now you know. So now you know if you didn't know.
Yes, definitely on the style sheet.
Poor Ben.
That S is a digital hug, is what that is.
Aww.
You deserve a banana.
And by the way, hey, we got somebody else in the audience I want to give a shout out to, and that is Zara. Hey, everybody. Sunday noon, she's here. Hi, Zara.
Hello.
Zara.
Hello, Zara.
I don't know what voice that was, but
It wasn't Mr. Roboto this time.
it was not Mr. Roboto. Yeah, before we started the show, we were all killer robots, and then that changed.
Yes. Well, hey, you know what? Speaking of robots, that actually gets into the other little piece of news that happened this week.
Oh my God! Just call me SegueRappa.
I'm gonna put that in the event. SegueRappa.
Hashtag SegueRappa.
SegueRappa.
I mean pound sign. I mean number sign.
I'm just gonna go SegueRappa. There you go.
And Chris, why don't you lead this one off, man? You're the one who put it into the social media strategy community, and that is Google is acquiring Emu, and I am with AI.
Yes.
And Director.
Yeah. What's that?
YouTube also acquired Director, so it's another app. So I figured I'd just throw it in there.
Oh, cool. Well, let's talk about that one. Does that have to do with video? Would that one have to do with video more?
That would have to do with editing short films on your phone, capturing and editing short films on your phone. That will be awesome. Somehow attached to YouTube. And both the apps are, I think, iOS type apps. So we discussed that about how, or at least on Friday, about how Google wants to be able to develop nicer things for iOS too. And not that they don't, but so these teams are going to help them. I think it's more. I think they bought both companies more for the teams than the apps, the technology, which is what they normally do, right?
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, because they already have powerful editing capability when it comes to the Android operating system. So I mean, hey, why not acquire somebody who's good for the iOS?
But I didn't mean to cut you off there, Chris.
No. Well, that's just interesting because that keeps in line with, I mean, Google's move towards all this video. I mean, they bought Twitch, was it last week, for $1 billion. $1 billion.
And they shut down Justin TV, or they moved it, or whatever they did with it.
Justin TV or Dustin TV?
No, we can never shut Dustin. You cannot even contain Dustin TV.
Don't play me, man.
With a J. J, the one that actually, the one that less people know, the Justin.
I was gonna say, did they shut down Justin Bieber yet?
I don't think that's possible.
If it was, it already would have been done.
Who inherits his followers?
That's funny. I don't know.
But anyway, back to the Twitch. I mean, that's that has to do with the online gaming world. And the live streaming. It certainly introduces like a lot more marketing and advertising for people, and it's consistent with Google getting their fingers in early.
Well, yeah, I mean, we haven't seen it happen yet, but I mean, I still say they're going to integrate comments into Twitch.tv. I mean, that's 50 million new users. They're already monetizing it. Whenever you stream to Twitch, it already goes on to YouTube, and then it gets monetized actually on both sides if you're a Twitch partner. So you can get monetized there, you can get monetized on YouTube, but where I think we're going to see a lot of twitchy gamers, coming into the G+ ecosystem. So that kind of
they chose to.
That is funny you say that, Ben, because there are a couple of my friends who have been anti-Google+, and all of a sudden, I don't know, as of recent, there's been kind of an influx of those friends on Google+. I don't know why.
Probably through other systems, probably.
Yeah, because now I'm seeing them on Google+, and like, that's funny. And I'm giving them a hard time, and I keep saying, I thought you hated Google+.
Well, Google, I think, decided instead of trying to get people to Google+, let's go find where the audience already is and bring Google+ to that audience. And I think that's probably what we're seeing more of, and that's a better strategy.
That goes straight back to what we talked about on Social Media Hangout a long time ago, and that's other people's audiences. If you can get into other people's audiences. Not only that, I think the other interesting thing is, and we were kind of talking about this in the green room, is that once people see Hangouts, all of a sudden they go from, oh, Google+ sucks, nobody's there, to, wow, people are here, cool. And the gaming community is actually really ripe.
And I'm late. That's what I say. Everybody's here, and I'm late. That's what people are feeling now, unfortunately.
I don't think you could ever be that late. I mean, it's only 3 years in, right? 3.
Oh, no.
I'd say by year 10, that person be like, wow.
Yeah, by year 10. And all the stories are going away.
I think we got
the
about
other
2 more
important
years.
thing about the other important thing about what the gamers, we were saying with the gamers making their way to Google+, is there are some on now, and I know this because my children are, I mean, they're Call of Duty, they're Minecraft, but a lot of the guys, there's a lot of the gamers that are streaming live on YouTube now. There's a lot of them that are very active in Google+. And if you want to see how a lot of these guys are like building an organic audience and how are really doing engagement, because I mean, some of them do have sponsorships, but a lot of them are out there building fans and followers just the way other businesses are. They're down in the trenches. They're answering comments. They're answering questions. They're inviting kids into the stream. I mean, my kids, 7 and 10-year-old. Have been invited into the stream. For them, it's a big deal. If they get to go into the game and be streamed live, for them, it's a thrill. To the gamer, it's just building another fan, another brand advocate.
So let's talk about strategy here real quick. because I was just what you were just saying there, Chris, just spawned off an interesting thing I was thinking about earlier this week. I was trolling through some of the Google API documentation. Totally trolling, right? Because I had a program. But I started
Trolling doesn't exist.
So, but I was looking through some of the documentation, and it looks like they've added entirely new API documentation to Hangout app development. And some of the sample code pieces that they have up there has to do with basically gaming and Hangouts. So you take that, you kind of couple that with the fact that they're bringing over all 50 million gamers into the ecosystem. Don't you think that publishers and gaming companies and indie developers in general are going to start looking at this going, wait a minute, there's this Toyota collaborative app. Hold on, there's this virtual pool app.
People need things spelled out for them, Ben Fisher. They do. And I think it's sad, but they do. And it's because it's budget and it's money, and they really need to see, and I've said it all along, show us the show people traffic, and they will come.
Mm-hmm.
That's as simple as it is. And who has power to show people traffic? Google.
Google.
So, like, I don't get it. But it makes sense. I mean, the more things they buy and the more things they incorporate, you know.
I think it's a good segue, though, like especially with the video gaming industry. If you can capture that audience, that's huge. I think it's even more huge if you can capture an audience, say, like the NFL audience. Is there some way that the NFL can utilize the Google Plus ecosystem to their benefit for whatever it is that they're doing? Now, I know that they are doing, you know, interviews. Some of them do with interviews with teams. But is there a better way to do it to where it's actually shown on like a TV screen or something like that? You know, because everyone's still so incorporated with Skype that, you know, I don't think Hangouts gets the love that I think it deserves. But that's just me.
I mean, Google's definitely been toying. They had a couple of, for the NFL draft, they had a couple of like My Draft Hangouts. They've had stuff like that. I just think marketing and publicizing that stuff has not become a strong point. Most people don't know about. I think discovery is the biggest, is the thing that needs to be worked on the most when it comes to Google Plus and Hangouts. Just think discovery, because most people know Google Plus as, what is that thing? Oh, that's a thing everyone seems to hate, or the YouTube comments, but they don't really know the pieces, which I'm not trying to segue to standalone apps, but standalone apps will help people discover what Google Plus is. They might have to use each.
So that is a Rappa segue, by the way.
That is there you go. There's a Rappa segue.
Here we're back into a
Putting that in the event. Rappa seg.
Rappa seg. Standalone apps, Google Plus Photos. I don't know if you're ready to move on to this. This is a topic, or you've already talked about it ad nauseum. But Google Plus Photos app, not to mention, you know, other Google type apps that are going to come out, and they keep buying these companies. You know, who knows what kind of individual apps that they'll come out for regarding live streaming, regarding communities, regarding photos. Maybe it won't be called Google Plus Photos. It'll be called Auto Awesome app or something like that.
Or it'll probably just be called Google Photos.
Maybe.
Google My Photos. Something.
You think they're going to get hip and try to get rid of the Google and try to be hipper? You know, I don't know.
Hipper like a geriatric.
I mean, they're not going to call it Google Twitch. It's going to stay Twitch, so, you know, maybe they'll come up with a name. So, but I mean, standalone apps.
YouTube, when they got bought out by Google, they were never called Google YouTube. So.
Right. Well, they had Google Video, which they killed for YouTube. So.
Yeah.
Or more like YouTube killed them, and then they were like, ah, let's buy it.
So what does everybody think about the Pinterest ads messaging? Has anybody used it?
No.
Yeah, I tried it.
No.
So
you know,
all it
you
is,
could ask them either or
all it is Pinterest trying. Everyone wants to become more social, and I get it. But I think most people go to Pinterest, like Instagram, they go to browse. They don't go to be social. And all it is a messenger. It's a Hangout. It's a Facebook Messenger. That's what it is. Instead of being on the right side of your screen, it's on the left side of your screen. And there's little circles for each person that you ping, and you can exit out. It looks almost like the new MySpace type chat, that pops up. I don't know. You guys probably like, what? No one's seen that either. But
my what?
My Little Pony. Is what I'm talking about. So the only thing is, so to message somebody, you can just, there's at the top of your notifications in Pinterest, it says messages. You can message people there, or you can go to a pin and click send, and then you could send an individual pin to one or multiple people, and then that could get that pin more likes or more hearts or whatever. I don't know. What is it called? I mean, repinning.
Hearts is Instagram is hearts.
No, I think on Pinterest.
Yeah, there's a little heart on Pinterest. Yeah, there's a little heart. I love it, I guess.
You love sending love hearts. I don't know, but I don't think this is a game changer. I think this is something that is just a piece to a bigger puzzle that Twitter's going to do probably. I think a Twitter messenger would be way more effective because there are way more people on Twitter, and although it would be way more annoying, because direct messages I don't think work well on Twitter. But
well, did you see the video, the Pinterest video about the messages? I mean, the application he put there, it was like a collaboration, inspiration idea. You know, they were showing people working together on something.
Right.
So in that aspect, you know what I mean? Like when you're trying to describe something to somebody, and you know, we all wish, I wish I had a picture of it. I guess this facilitates that, but I can't see me, you know, you'd use it maybe once in a while, but it's not.
I think every video for a new feature makes everything look better. I think Snapchat has some really cool videos for some of their features. Snapchat has the chat. You can chat back and forth, but I don't know how many people actually use that.
I gave up on that whole application just because I'm not 12.
And that's how I felt too. But then it was everywhere, and I was like, all right. And then everyone, even in the newsroom, they were using it. So.
I had it. It was just like I got it, and then I thought to myself, you know, that's just another thing that I don't want to have to manage at this point.
Yeah.
You know,
the only thing I would say about Snapchat, if you follow like people that are constantly putting up stories, then it's entertaining to once in a while go in there and click on a story and watch it. But otherwise, I don't really. It's like Slingshot. It's just too much.
Maybe
work.
That was my problem because half the people that I were following were people from the radio station, and they were all sending me pictures of like drug paraphernalia, and I was like, I'm totally not even interested.
That's what I thought you were gonna say, but of course, porn is what it's mostly used for.
Porn and drug paraphernalia. Interesting.
It's like I don't want you to see my junk, but for 5 seconds you can.
Oh, come on, the internet was built on porn, okay?
Yes, it was. But yeah, so the Pinterest. Yeah, so again, the Pinterest. Let's collaborate. No, it's you want to chat with somebody. I mean, maybe, but. I just see it as a little piece.
It would be interesting to bring Cynthia Sanchez on here and ask her that question because I'm sure she would have a lot to say about that.
She's a big Pinterest user or Snapchat?
She would use on Pinterest.
Well, we have Eileen Smith that says she hasn't used the Pinterest messaging yet. She doesn't see much reason to use it because she's not collaborating with anyone there at the moment. Well, hey, Eileen, let's start collaborating. Let's check it out.
Eileen. Yeah.
And then Kristen Divesville says DMs are hashtag dumb. Agreed. Yeah.
I like that. DMs are dumb.
120% of all DMs you get are spam, right? Or thank you for following me. Thank you for following me. I'm still looking forward to getting to know you and your awesome tweets that I'll never look at.
On Twitter that are following me, or they're following me, then all of a sudden they're sending me the DMs like, hey, I noticed that you don't have enough Twitter followers. Do you want to have more? And I'm like, are you serious, dude? No.
Yes, because these random ones will help you do nothing. Yeah, I don't know. So the Pinterest messaging could segue into the whole Facebook Messenger.
Hang on, Rappaseg.
Rappaseg. You're like, Ben's like, that's my job. You bastard.
We need like a spinning screen or something to head into the next stuff. The segue, Rappaseg.
So people are upset because Facebook Messenger has a lot of permissions and wants to take over your life, your phone. And a lot of people are not wanting to download the Facebook Messenger, and they're like, F you, Facebook, I'm not doing it.
I'm one of those people, I haven't done it.
Yeah. So I always use the Messenger app from the beginning. I'll use all the apps. I don't care. I feel like to me personally, it comes to a point where like everyone has access to our data. Everyone has access to our information. And just because they're telling us now, Facebook's like, oh, we're going to tell you what we're doing. Somehow I feel like they've gotten access to your microphone and to your phone before, just based on like your photos. Like, every time an app says, "Can I access your photos?" or "Can I access your microphone?" I mean, it doesn't feel like it's that much different. And what is the worst thing that Facebook will do with your data? They're not going to blackmail you. So, like, what are people afraid of, really? Is what I want to know.
Famous
well, that's the whole thing. It comes down to, I guess, really just trust, right? But, you know, I mean, when you're developing an app, you have to ask for those permissions. You have to. You know, if you're going to be doing something with voice, if you're going to be doing something with context, you have to ask for permission to get access to those contexts. So I don't think it's anything inherently evil or whatever, or even invasion of privacy, unless they do turn on the app and just, you know, listen to you while you're doing whatever. But, you know, do we really think that they're going to do that? I guess that's the question.
And I guess because people were upset about the whole psychological test that Facebook did, that they're thinking, oh, they're with psychological, maybe that's part of it. But if you really, yeah.
I think the bottom line is everybody's going to let them do it eventually anyway. We're going to sit here and gripe about it, but I mean they've got away with stuff like this year after year after year. Like you said, the experiment. Anybody even talking about that anymore? You know what I mean? It was a big deal, and it's okay. Well, then we'll get past it. Same thing you're saying with the permission on the app. Everyone's going to gripe about it, you know. But eventually, we're all going to do it.
Well, I mean, the fact is if you want to stay connected with people who are on Facebook and you want to do messaging, you're going to download the app. It's that simple.
Let's put it this way. If you want to be a part of society these days, you have to exchange a piece of information for access to something anyway. I mean, isn't that kind of how it has always worked with cash?
Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Well, you're right. You're totally right, Shannon. I mean, this is a digital economy. And, you know, the privacy and the rights that we all had growing up in the 80s, you know, look at where we are today. You know, back then we would have said, hell no. Oh, excuse me. Oops, my language. But, you know, heck no, we're not going to give out, you know, my phone number and information so I could just use your awesome app. You know, nowadays it's like, okay, click I agree and move on.
You know what's funny, Ben, is because I'm sure that I've never done this, but I'm sure all of us have done some type of query of where someone lives, or maybe if someone owns a house, and all you have to do, like in that case, is just go to a county recorder and find out the access of where someone lives or what house they own. It's out there no matter what, and I'm kind of to the point where, yeah, it's out there. You know, a card does get compromised. I don't like the idea of a card being compromised, but you know, these days you have to give information in order to get access to those apps regardless. If you don't, then don't be on the network. Live off the grid. You know, go raise chickens and, you know, raise your own organic. I just don't participate in my world. That's all I have to say.
People complain about apps, but the phone companies probably have even more information than the apps do.
Yeah.
Right?
How long you're talking, where you call, who you call. It's insane.
So are people like putting up posts like, oh my God, Verizon, AT&T, Sprint, how dare you know all this stuff about? I mean, like, no, I don't see that. I mean, so I think people just like to get their panties in a twist, or whatever the correct phrase is. For those of you that don't wear panties, there's only a few of you. But,
I just love it.
I see Ben squirming over there.
I'm sitting here laughing.
Fun day, everybody.
I can't help but think to myself, like, Shannon led this entire conversation off with, like, I don't do this, but...
I don't do this, but let me tell you what I did possibly do. No,
it's great points.
I just think I wouldn't say it's stupid. I would just say that it's short-sighted of someone to say, "Oh, I can't give Facebook my information because they have all my information." Well, you know what? They probably found out whenever you're playing, you know, Farmville last. Does that even? I mean, they find out when you're playing Words with Friends. I mean, they have all this access. I mean, it's almost impossible these days to not have some type of app or website gather some form of data. I mean, we're all gathering data if we're in some type of business, and we're gathering some piece of data, and we see it in analytics, we see it in our email marketing. You see it everywhere. So I mean, it's just like it's up to you. Do you want to exchange that email or that information or your name or whatever phone number for a service or help? It's up to you.
Well, hey, let's look at this 5 years from now. So let's say that you want to get that fancy new contact lens that'll monitor your glucose levels, and you can't afford it. But you are definitely willing to give away your location data and maybe what you're seeing. What's what you're seeing basically. Would you do that to save your life? In 5 years, I think the answer to that might be yes.
Well, I don't think the question is giving them access. I don't think the question is giving them access to it. It's how they're going to use that information. Yeah. And I'm not saying they're going to do something now, but the whole pattern I was getting with Facebook, and well, mostly Facebook, is that, like you said, 5 years down the road, if they do misuse that information, what are we going to get in exchange? An apology? You're making too much out of it?
I mean, what is an example in your minds of a conceivable way that they're going to misuse it besides advertising? I mean,
putting NSA.
What'd you say? NSA? But NSA? What do you mean? They don't need Facebook for that. They know everything about us anyway. So what's the difference? So they know when you go to the bathroom. So what?
But that's just it. You don't know now. It's just you don't know now. Maybe later. Who knows? Maybe they'll have some. Facebook will work out some sort of communication with your bank, whereby when you go in for a loan, they'll be able to. I mean, I'm not saying banks start looking at Facebook profiles and stuff anyway. Maybe they are, but what they don't have is your emotion, your intention. They don't have all those true things that Facebook can gather from your activity, from your conversation, from your messages, from your video. All these things. That information they can interpret and give to a third-party source later in the future, possibly.
But think about the opposite of that, right? Not to cut you off. Think about the opposite. Think about you're like, you know what? I'm not gonna have a phone. I'm not gonna have all that stuff. And then you go in to get something. They're like, oh, you don't have a Facebook. You don't have this. Sorry, we can't. We don't. You need to have that. So
every business is bringing Facebook. Well, they're bringing more business. Are bringing things like Facebook online to be a part of their business. I mean, sign in with Facebook. Now we're getting signed in with Google+. So, I mean, if you can't do this and be a part of today's digital economy, which is basically all it is, hey man, I hope you enjoyed time in the Flintstone age. Pedaling your little car with your feet. I mean, seriously, because this is the way it's going. I mean, you can find anything on the internet, and you can get access to just about anything. And just kind of put it in perspective of like, where would we be now with something, say, like Google Now, and think back to 5 years, 6 years ago. I mean, yesterday when I was driving into town, Google Now notifies my phone and says, oh, hey, by the way, coming up in about a mile, you're going to hit construction. You might want to figure out a detour. I mean, it's up to you whether or not you want to give that information out, your location data, or not. Without that, I would have probably been stuck in a traffic jam for about a good hour. So it's really up to the person.
And then it comes to the interpretation of the brand. Then you see, Google, I would give my information to, probably not think much about it. Whereas Facebook, I'm a little apprehensive. I'm going to do it anyway. I have a Facebook account, like you said. If I want to stay in touch with everybody else, I'm going to do it anyway. But all I'm saying is that some companies will make me more apprehensive about that than others would. Facebook makes me very apprehensive.
I get what you're saying.
That all comes back down to trust. That's what it comes back to.
They are publicly traded companies, if that helps.
No, exactly.
It's not just some random guy in his basement. That's all with your information.
You never know. It probably is. His name is Mark Zuckerberg.
Yeah, some random guy named Mark or something.
Yeah, he's the only one that's there. The only guy.
What a billionaire dork.
Interestingly enough, did you see the Facebook community on Google+? It has no owner and no mods.
It's not. Is it real though?
I don't know. I'll throw up a link. Hold on. Let me see if I can find it.
It was like when I found Larry Page's profile on Facebook that had all these people from Google+. He added as a friend. I don't know. It's weird that those accounts don't get shut down, though. That's what I find weird. If they're fake, why aren't they getting shut down?
Didn't Google actually just do a large cleanup of fake accounts?
Circle Count was saying that. Yeah, Circle Count was saying that happened.
All right.
Well, sure how should that? Yeah.
We should probably just go ahead and report this, actually.
He's like, let me report. Speaking of reporting, Rappaseg, Google Plus spam algorithm has been talked about recently. Mike Elgin brought up a whole thing about how the spam, whether it's YouTube or Google Plus, that comments are getting through that are spam, and comments that are legitimate are being marked as spam. I've had that issue too with some posts where it says show comments marked as spam. You go in there, it'll say I agree with you or LOL or whatever, and then you'll go. And one of my posts, because it's a YouTube video, kept getting Instagram or Instafamous kept getting comments, and they kept going through the spam filter. I don't know how. Same comment over and over again. Different people saying, "Oh, you got to join Instafam to get 500 followers," or "You have to look up this guy's video." Over and over again. And I was wondering, why isn't this? And I kept marking it as report spam. And I was wondering why the spam filter was letting that through, but marking things like, you know, this video is so funny, I'm so glad you posted it, or da da da. I mean, it's weird, right? No? You guys have experienced that at all? No. Do you guys ever click on show comments marked as spam in your posts?
I've seen them maybe 3 times in the past 3 years.
Oh. All right.
I don't get a lot of spammers.
Everyone's like cricket for Matt. It's like crickets.
Well, if you're out there, but so what I'm saying to you is, this. All right, it's not a first world problem for everybody. That's only a first world problem for the few of us. It's not a big deal, I guess, but I think it's interesting if this is going to get worse and worse with, you know, they're trying to improve the filters. But as YouTubers are on Google Plus more because of the videos. It's interesting so what would you guess how comments get through that seem like spam and comments that aren't spam don't get through? Why do you think, what would you guess? Is it just the wrong filters, or?
I think it has probably to do with either your behavior as a person, whether you've marked a lot of comments as spam, so that probably contributed to it. And then how many other people have reported that specific profile as spammy and commenty. And then there's probably a semantic correlation there between everything. So, I mean, it would be an interesting experiment. I mean, I don't know if you want to just go out there and say, hey, everybody go spam your, you know, Rappaport.
Rappaport. There's no way to really know, though, some stuff is obvious spam, but a lot of things are kind of, everyone's different, right? Someone without a profile picture that just types the word hi on your post. 50% of people might say that, yeah, that's spam. He's got a blue picture. He's saying hi. I don't know who he is. The other 50% said, oh, just some guy saying hi. I don't know who it is. I mean, you know, the algorithm. Anyway.
Yeah. If you says hi, and then comments.
Yeah.
That's spam, right?
The entire audience is bored now. They're like, we don't care about spam. Spam.
All right, so let's wrap a seg to a final thing about Facebook that we have here. And so Facebook likes now can no longer be gamed by third-party applications. I mean, we know that's been against the term of service for a long time. But now this is putting actually third-party app developers in jeopardy. What's everybody think about that?
90 days. You got till November 5th to update the system.
Start cleaning it up.
Yep.
I had mentioned this last week. I think it's ridiculous, the whole thing. I mean, Facebook has let people use this incentive to. It's like, you know, hit like and you get X, right? Is that the incentive we're talking about?
Yeah.
They've been using that for how many years? And tons of brands, major brands, have been using that, and they didn't get stopped. All of a sudden, they're like, "Oh, we better clean it up now." Like, why? I just don't get it.
Very difficult to police. Very difficult to police.
Yeah. Why would? Yeah. Sorry, Starbucks. We're gonna police you. Not. I mean, like, you're Starbucks. Of course, we want you to do that. Give me a break.
It's because they want you to spend more money on ads. I suppose if you were to buy an ad from them that said like our ad or like our page, I suppose that's fine. But oh no, don't get somebody else to develop something for you.
I think it also depends on who you are. I think obviously they want everyone's money, but I think if you're a major brand with a major presence on Facebook, Facebook wants you to do whatever you need to do to continue to be that presence, right? More so than getting your advertising dollars, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, or maybe they're going to be
organic reach going down too.
Yeah, maybe they're going to be rolling out their own contest apps or their own like gating type of system, and they're going to charge for
their own tip jar.
Exactly.
Do as I say, not as I do.
Wow.
That's again with the Facebook doing. Never mind. Don't get me going.
That would be actually so. Let's talk about a Facebook incentive app. You have to pay money per month to use it. I don't. But doesn't that go against their TOS? Or I guess if they're doing it, it doesn't matter. They're allowed to do it. You're not. I don't know.
On your platform, they'd be like, whatever. We can do what we want.
Yeah. It's for the shareholders now.
Yeah.
I guess. What do you think, Ben?
I think it's going to be, I know quite a few people who own apps that do like, for instance, contest apps, and they have to, you've got to like the page basically to get to the contest. I think it's going to hurt the ecosystem, but I think also at the same time, Facebook doesn't really care if it hurts their developers or not. All they care about is that businesses are willing to pay for ads. Also, I think it's going to reduce the number of likes that pages get because people are not being incentivized to like a page just because they want to win a free GoPro or Amazon.com gift certificate or whatever. So that might actually help their EdgeRank algorithm just a little bit and maybe give brands a little bit more exposure. I doubt it though, but what do you guys think about that?
I think likes should have an expiry date. I like the date for the contest, maybe not so much tomorrow.
It's like you might like a product that you buy, but it's not that you like it; it's that you bought it, not that you were like.
I get that at +1. Like should have an expiry date.
There you go.
Like should have an expiry date. Yeah, write that down. There you go. Here's my quote for the show.
Should +1s have an expiring date too?
I think so. You know what I mean? That's the thing. That's so hard. Like when you like something, or you +1 it, it's, like for example, let's say Ben offers up this great blog post and there's awesome information, and I +1 it, or I like it, but 9 months down the road, it's outdated information, and if anybody followed it, it would be completely wrong. It would blow their campaign. But I liked that page. I liked it, and I +1'd it. I guess, you can go back in and unlike the page or +1 it, but the thing is you don't keep track of Ben's blog post from 9 months ago. You might not remember it.
Ben doesn't even keep track of his post from 9 months ago.
I'm probably rambling.
I have them printed all over my wall.
Framed.
This is my blog post from 1999.
I think that it all comes down to intent, right? Why are you liking a page or a brand when you're on Facebook? You're liking it because of either some incentive, right? That's, I'd say 90% of the pages that I've liked on Facebook are either because they're owned by a friend of mine or there's some incentive to like the page. I don't think I genuinely liked something unless it was like maybe a TV series like Family Guy, something like that, where I do actually want to get that content.
With Family Guy.
Exactly.
Let's hear from Shannon. Shannon's a big Facebook guy. He likes you.
You're a big face. That's when I think of Shannon.
Yeah, what do you like, Shan, man? Why will you like something on Facebook?
#Shanman.
Breaking Bad.
Better Call Saul.
Better Call Saul. Breaking Bad. I like different things on Facebook, but I don't go out of my way to go like things on Facebook. I like brands that have a great product. That's what I like.
See, the problem with the like is the same thing with the +1, so to speak. I'll give you an example. My daughter writes on her Facebook wall, my phone bill is $568. All of a sudden, all her friends are liking this. Me, not so much. But you understand, what's there to like about a $600 phone bill? It's not.
I think like is the wrong word.
Exactly, but that's what I'm saying. But your only choice there at the bottom is to like that.
Well, that's why, like for at HuffPost, when they would have a depressing story, instead of hitting like, they would change it to recommend instead of like. So they would change it. So, I don't know.
That's my whole point. Exactly. A news story that's horrible news. How can you go to that button and hit like it? I don't like it.
You don't like the story, but you like that they're providing that information.
Yes. So there should be a like button for the author and a recommend for the post.
Now, yeah, but then it gets convoluted, I guess.
It's so ambiguous because it could be like, well, yeah, my 3 dogs died in a fatal, sunbathing accident, whatever, and
or they just died. That's bad
Hot
enough.
dogs. The title needs hot dogs.
But like you can go in and like someone can like that just to acknowledge that they saw.
So it should say like, acknowledge, recommend.
Well, you see, that's a whole other show right there to try to interpret the +1 or the like. You know what I mean? Like in a comment, if somebody leaves you a comment, you don't comment back, but you'll +1 it to acknowledge that, yeah, I got that comment.
Well, that's why I've argued before. It's not always about the content; it's about the person posting it, and that's why, or the
intent. It's intent. It's.
But it's also no. So there are times where you'll see, like you said, you'll see it. Like Ben said, he'll like a page because it's his friend's page, not because I'm like, oh, so excited or juiced about it. So I think a lot of stuff that happens in social media happens because of relationships and not because, oh, this is such amazing content. And that kind of, I don't think these social sites are built to recognize the difference between, a like is a like or a +1 is a +1. They're not intent, like you said. They don't know what, they just assume you liked it or +1 it because you enjoy the content. But you might just enjoy the person, or you just might, maybe you went to that person's profile, you haven't been there a while, you're like, all right, I liked 2 or 3 things, but I wasn't like in love with them. So
for them, it's just a measurement of engagement.
Yeah.
Right, exactly. It's more about the measurement of engagement, and then Google has come out and said even with pluses, that +1s are gauged as actually a very weak signal to them. And I forget who wrote it, but I mean, there's like 50 to 100 different ways that you can interpret, what a +1 means. So at the end of the day, I think it's the same thing with like. It's an interpretation, right?
No problem, Shannon's got to go. The only third thing I was going to say, the other way to like a page on Facebook is that new or the not so new thing where they'll recommend like 5 other pages below a post. You know what I'm talking about? Or 4 other with the like button? No? Maybe not. No, I don't know.
So, well, all right, very cool. Well, it sounds like we are going to go ahead and just wrap up today's social media hangout. So, thanks for joining us, everybody. And yeah, we're out of here. And enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Take care.
Thanks for joining us, Shane, man.
Thanks, guys.
Matthew, Chris.
Later, bye, Matt.
+1 and like me because you want to.
There you go.
All I gotta say that's the thing I gotta say.
Outclass yourself.
All right, out.
See you guys.